Hi, everybody. Darla D and Jimmy Z. Darla has a great story about something that happened at the Lake Havasu Tea Party.
I had this young, he's probably somewhere in his late 20s, but he came up to me and he says, I need to get a picture with you. And I said, okay, great. And he goes, you know why, don't you? And I was like, well, no. I mean, other than you want a picture with me. And he goes, well, let me explain a little further to you. He's a black guy. And I said, no, I mean, I don't know. He goes, you don't get it? And I'm like, no. And he goes, black tea party? There's not very many. And I was like,
yeah.
Oh, see, I look at you and I don't think of you as black at a tea party that I need to worry about that. But you're right that the left does. And they're always saying how there aren't any black people in the tea party. So, I mean, I just thought it was funny that he's trying to get me to come up with the right answer. And I'm searching my brain for why this is so important to him. And it wasn't because it was me. I knew it wasn't that. I knew that there was something more to it by his questions, but I just couldn't think of what it was.
You know why? I know why you struggled with it, because you and I don't think in terms of skin color.
I don't.
Doesn't even cross our minds.
Makes me so mad about Oprah Winfrey. I just have to say this before we go.
Now let's go ahead. We'll go ahead and talk about that, because go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say about that.
You know what? What I want to say to her is, you know what? That's a really awful thing for her to say from a woman who's gotten rich from white people.
Yeah. It's awful. It's absolutely awful.
Who is where she's at because a lot of white people loved her, supported her, followed her shows, gave her opportunities to be in news and all the other things. White people made an opportunity for her. And now she repays them. They're the ones who go to see her movies. They're the ones who buy her magazines. And I'm not saying that black people don't too. All people do. But I remember watching her audience, and it was always filled with a lot of white people.
Absolutely.
So you're telling me, Oprah, that the reason they don't like our president is because they don't like black people? Then what's your excuse? Why are you so famous and so popular?
Look, she talked about the older generation being brought up in racism, being marinated in racism. What I think happened here is that she got involved with this movie, and I recognize that Oprah Winfrey can be a very good actress, but she became immersed in, and to use her word, marinated in the racism and the slavery that was going on so many years ago that she started thinking about race in those terms. And that's what she's trying to cultivate. She and Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, they're all trying to raise up another generation of young black racists. And it's disgusting.
Well, here's my answer to it. Oprah Winfrey, Jesse Jackson, and all of these people that hate white people, I'm not going to watch their movies. I'm not going to pay another dime for anything they're doing, and I will go out of my way to avoid them like the plague.
Yeah.
I'm not going to support them. I have supported, I'm not going to say I supported Jesse Jackson and these guys, but I have supported Oprah Winfrey in the past, and then when I found out where she suddenly changed her views spiritually, I dropped her. But I would still see her in a movie or something, but I'm to the point now where it's like, you know what, shame on you, just shame on you. Shame on you.
Absolutely. Well, I heard... I read a quote from Lenny Kravitz, who also has a role in that movie, The Butler, which I have not seen and I won't see. Lenny Kravitz, whose music I've enjoyed through many years now, and I really like the guy's music. I think he's great. But he made some kind of similar quote about racism is still persistent in America. When are these people going to acknowledge that we are a completely different country now than we were even 50 years ago?
No, what's prominent in our society is the people who want to hold our ancestors, want to hold us responsible for what our ancestors did a long, long time ago. Yes, do I have ancestors in my family history who had some slaves? I do. Did I? Absolutely not, and I never would, and I would never even think in those terms. I have some of the best friends I've ever had in my life are African American people.
Yeah, and when you go out to dinner with those folks, when you and your husband go out to dinner with your friends who happen to be black, I'll bet you, because I have some friends, some musician friends I know who are black. And we get into a conversation talking about music. We might talk about Michael Jackson. We might talk about Pink Floyd, whoever. And I'm sitting there having a conversation. I'm not thinking to myself, wow, this is amazing. I'm having a civil conversation with a black man. It doesn't enter into it. I'm just talking to a friend of mine whose name is Steve or Bill or whatever he is. And I'm not even thinking about what color he is.
If you think about it, though, it all goes back to the left and the Communist Party USA, their goals in 1963.
Yeah.
And one of those things, and rules for radicals, is to polarize and to demonize a certain group of people. And that's how they win. And they've managed to indoctrinate, as much as they indoctrinate our children, they indoctrinate the different races, and they use it to their benefit, and they get those races to do their bidding. And that's exactly what they've been doing. You know, I have some Native American, Indian in my history, my family history too. And I'm not happy with things that the white man did to the Indians. And I'm not happy with some of the things that the Indians did to the white man. But, we're not there anymore.
No, we're here. And listening to Oprah Winfrey, it doesn't even sound like she's acknowledging how much progress has been made. And I'm not talking about political progress and the left-wing agenda. I'm talking about genuine progress that a black man cannot be held back in his job. He can't be passed by on promotion. And really, most companies don't even think about that anymore, because if the guy is excelling, they're going to promote him. I want to give you something. I wrote this on November 17th, a couple of days ago. And I think this is very important. And I'm not saying this with pride, but I'm about the only guy who's talking about this. And it goes along with what we're saying here. I wrote on Facebook, people like Alan West, Benjamin Carson, J.C. Watts, Herman Cain, Thomas Sowell, any number of black conservatives. These black conservatives need to stop talking to white people on Fox News. They need to get on a bus and go into the black neighborhoods, set up carnivals with rides and music and food, and talk to people one-on-one. Now, I think this is one of the most important things, because what you did in Lake Havasu is the same kind of thing, but you're talking to the Tea Party. These people who are African Americans and happen to be conservatives need to get into their neighborhoods and talk to people, because African Americans are not watching Fox News. They're not going to look at each other at a bar or at on the bus or at work, wherever they are. They're not going to say, "Hey, did you hear that Sean Hannity is having a bunch of black conservatives on the show tonight? We should watch that." They're not going to watch it because they can't stand Sean Hannity. And I realize that that's a polarizing thing that's been going on, and it's really not a rational response to Sean Hannity. But we have very well-spoken black conservatives. And I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to be critical of these people, but the next step is to talk to other African Americans who are voting Democrat, but they really don't know why. And they're shooting themselves in the foot, because things under Barack Obama are worse in the black community than they've been in decades.
I agree. And it's taken the entire race debate, and a lot of the strides that we've made in the past, and just destroyed it. He's really destroyed it in a lot of ways, and it's very sad to me. It's really very sad to me. And I told this lady the other day, we were having a conversation in Laughlin, and I said, what bothers me is that Barack Obama is roughly 6% black. I bet you I probably have at least that in my family history somewhere.
Many of us probably do, and don't even know
it. Absolutely. And people that had slaves and they had children and with their slaves, and there's all these. This has happened. I'm sorry, folks, and it's happened, and it's there, and it's in our history. I don't care if he was purple. I dislike Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi just as much, if not more.
But Barack Obama has the right skin color. And that's what has bothered me so much throughout this whole presidency is that
Yes.
it's all based on his skin color. And we're told, you can talk about Oprah Winfrey, but there's a huge list of famous entertainers who keep telling us that Barack Obama is hated because of his skin color. You know, Alan Colmes has a radio show, and he's gone off a multitude of times talking about how Americans need to get over the fact that Barack Obama is black. Nobody cares about his skin color. I certainly don't. As a conservative, as a person who cares about the direction of the country, I am upset because of who Barack Obama is. If it was about his skin color, if it was about his skin tone, which is kind of brown and chocolatey, if it was all about that, then Harry Reid would be my hero because he's got the right skin tone. And I would hate Hershey bars because they're the wrong color. It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And I would have not spent the majority of my youth making my tan as almost as dark as Barack Obama's.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't have done it. But, you know, it's hard to change the narrative when you've got the mainstream media and all of these people that get they get their 5 minutes every time you turn around on the platform speaking about this race card and using the race card to their advantage. And it's hard to beat that. And we don't have to keep justifying who we are and what we are. But I just found it interesting, and you were right, that when this young man came up to me and he's trying really hard to get me to figure out why this picture is important, I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
And he and I laughed about it afterwards. And to me, that speaks volumes as to where we're at, that it to us, it's not about skin color. And honestly, he's like, how many other black people are here? And I said, I have no idea. You know what, though? I had no idea. I didn't think about it.
Do you have his contact information?
He has my contact information.
Oh,
He's
good.
supposed to
I hope
send me
he
the
reaches
pictures
out.
and everything. So.
Okay,
But, yeah, it was a great time, and I hope that wherever you live, if you're listening to this, stay in touch with your local Tea Party, go to the events, get involved, become a precinct committeeman, do whatever you have to do. Go to patriotaction.net, and we'll help you too, however we can. Jimmy Z will help you. Just get involved, and let's take this country back, and let's get past this ridiculous place that we're in right now.
Yeah, and if you want to get in touch with Darla, she's got her link for her page at Patriot Action Network is always in the video notes just beneath the video on YouTube. I want to thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next time from Darla D and Jimmy Z. Have a good week, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Darla D and Jimmy Z.